Baka, The Wisdom of the Forest. I love watching documentaries for this exact reason. This is something that I never would have been exposed to otherwise. I never would have been able to learn about or even really know that it exists in the world. And now I've gotten to watch this great film that like goes into such history and the history of the community, but also the struggles that they're facing now, and how there are narratives in this world that we hear about conservation, and especially when it comes to natural spaces like forests, like rainforests, like all of these protected lands. And we hear all of these narratives, but that doesn't always hold true for all of them. That what we're hearing isn't necessarily what the locals, what the people that have been on the earth, what the people that have experienced this kind of life would agree with. And I think that it's so important because I think, especially in our society, I loved how they talked about the differences between like an agricultural society historically and how that kind of morphed into what we have now, and a hunter-gatherer society, and how they're or in like a non-traditional kind of nomadic kind of group setting, and how that is much less common these days. But the differences in those societies, how they're structured, what happens with them, and the things that they value, how all of that is so different from a kind of more traditional agricultural based society, and kind of what that evolved into our modern day. And I think that is so interesting, because if you're looking at conservation from the point of view of an agricultural society, then yes, you would think that having nobody there is definitely beneficial from the forest, because in your mind, having anybody there means having thousands or hundreds of people there, and them making their roads, making their houses, making their schools, making their whatever. And when you reframe it to think about it in a hunter-gatherer point of view, that's not necessarily how it is. It is their own tribe. They respect the land, they respect the forest, they work with the land that they're living on, and they have deep cultural and spiritual connections and rituals. And I think that it's just such a different mindset, but it's so valuable to share different experiences, and how different that not everybody has to live one type of way. You can have society, you can have culture, you can have community, and it can look 1,000 different ways. And like I said, I love documentaries for this reason, and I thought that this was such an interesting documentary to watch, so I really enjoyed it.
I really like The Wisdom of the Forest. I thought it was really interesting. The strength of a documentary is a subject matter, and I feel like, you know, because like there's a world like in like the 50s where an expose, I guess, of this people and this culture could have came off offensive, but I think this was tastefully, respectfully done. Like very much like, okay, these people, this is their strengths, this is the problems, this is what they contribute, and then this is the problems that people are doing to them, as opposed to like and like distinguishing like different types of societies and like all of that. So I thought it was like really tastefully done. Also, like uh uh I thought it was like very like it didn't feel like exploitative. Also, it felt like it was like, okay, we're doing this really to make a larger point about the environment, really, which I think is really cool, and I learned a lot. So overall, and I think that's kind of the goal of this documentary, is like to help people learn more about like the environment in the Congo Basin and all of that. So great job.
Baka, The Wisdom of the Forest. This was a good documentary. Great lighting and cinematography, nice performance by the narrator, informative script. I liked the structure of it. And you gave moments where we just felt like as the audience member, I felt like I was there. So it felt really personal in a lot of moments. There wasn't any talking, and it was just showing what was happening. So there was a lot of, vulnerability in that, and I think it takes guts to do that as a filmmaker too. Nice footage throughout, and just an interesting topic, regarding removing hunters and gatherers from the forest. And there was a lot of stuff in there I didn't realize, like honey and bees underground. I don't know if I ever knew that there were bees underground. So that was interesting. Really nice overhead shots as well. It just felt like a day in the life of, and I like how you showed the difference in daily life for the different, regions of, not regions, but the kids, where the kids live, I guess, the different sort of life that they go through. It was interesting. I think they said they poisoned the fish. So that was interesting. And then there was, of course, tree climbers where the honey's up higher, and, the different traditions being endangered, and the different forms of dancing and the fun that they were having. Just real simplistic in a way, as far as that goes. And I thought there was that shot of the 5 kids jumping in the water and playing. The shot of them actually jumping in the water was really cool, and it was fun to see as sort of the wrap up. So great job and good luck.
Baka draws you right into the heart of this community's world, making you feel like you're living alongside them. It's a classic style documentary, but it's filled with rich informational insights. But it's the pacing that really stands out. It lets the emotions of their simple, peaceful life unfold naturally, giving you a deep sense of community and routine that is so interesting to see, especially from an outside perspective. There's not much to add. Sometimes simplicity speaks louder than words.